Welcome to the Dr. Carniol Show. As many people, I love to eat. And the question is, how do I eat without gaining weight? And how do I eat and stay healthy? Very difficult and challenging issues. So I have some guests today who will talk about this. First, I have my co-host, Tara Callie.
Oh, thank you for having me. I'm excited to talk about this stuff.
Yeah, it's a tough subject.
It's a tough subject, but everybody loves food.
Absolutely. I love food. And then we have our guest, Liz Calabro.
Pleasure to be here today. You know I'm a foodie too.
Alrighty, so now what we're going to do today is start out with a good exercise regimen to loosen up and get everybody moving so they're loose when they're watching the show.
I'm going to demonstrate a few stretches that you can do any time of the day, particularly maybe in the morning, to get your body moving. So we're gonna start with a hip opener that also is gonna help to open up your low back. Many people complain of lower back problems. So here I have Tara with me. We're going to start in a lunge. So you're going to lunge forward. You can, if you'd like to, drop that knee. As you push your hips forward, you will feel a stretch in the groin. Now what we are going to do is we're going to put both hands up in the air. You're going to grab your wrist of the arm that the leg is kneeling on the ground, and you are going to twist out to open up the lower back. So you want to get into those tiny little tendons which are holding your big muscles to the joint. So you want to get a nice deep stretch. How's that feel, Tara?
Feels pretty good.
Great. All right. So now we'll come back on up and then we'll do the other side. So other leg forward, kneel down. Yep. Get the hip stretch, grab the opposite arm and pull it over. So these stretches you do want to hold for about 60 seconds so that they can really loosen at the tendons. So now we're going to open up the hip. So you're going to come down and we're going to go into what's called a pigeon in yoga. So your one leg is in front, kneeling down. Now you're going to plant the hand a little further up from the knee, stretch up with the opposite hand. You're going to thread the needle. This, you push the elbow into the ground to open up and compress the shoulder. Amazing. So we'll do a quick other side just so you can all see. So plant the hand, big stretch up, thread the needle through, and compress the shoulder. So now we're working our hips, low back, and shoulder.
Awesome. That was great.
Today is Saturday. Today is Saturday. Yeah. Salad on Saturday, fruit on Friday, throw a ball Thursday. Water Wednesday, touch your toes Tuesday. Let's move Monday, swap a snack Sunday. All the healthy children eat well and move a lot. And move a lot. And move a lot. Eat well and move a lot.
60 minutes of physical activity a day and eating well can help get your child healthy. So keep them active and eating well every day.
Skip a rope Saturday, freeze tag Friday, tap dance Thursday. Whole grains Wednesday, try a veggie Tuesday. Let's move Monday, split the sweet Sunday.
Eat well and move a lot.
Today is Saturday. Today is Saturday.
All the healthy children, all the healthy children. Get ideas. Get involved. Get going at letsmove.gov. That's letsmove.gov.
You know, just watching Tara and Liz, I feel so much looser now. That really worked for me. And now what I'd like to do is get into a discussion about different diets. And so the question is, what kind of diet do each of us use on a daily basis? Tara, what do you use?
Well, me, like most women, I have probably done every diet on the planet, but it's taken me a long time to realize that you have to kind of just do what works for you. So I kind of do a mix of things. I eat a pretty high protein diet, kind of on the lower carb side. During the week, I kind of scale back a bit because I know I'd like to enjoy myself on the weekends. That doesn't mean that I go hog wild on the weekends. It just means that, I'm able to go out to dinner and enjoy a meal that I wouldn't maybe necessarily eat during the week. And I'm able to enjoy that and have some wine with it. And so normally during the week, I tend to do intermittent fasting, which means that I don't eat from the hours of 8 p.m. at night until 12 o'clock the next day. Intermittent fasting can be any range of eating window that you're comfortable with. For me, that just seems to work. So at 12 o'clock, I have a lunch. It's usually high protein, low carb based, and then I usually do a protein shake or a protein bar at some point, and then I have a bigger dinner with lots of veggies and protein. And I have my wine during the week and my preemptive cheats. I always say I always have a little dark chocolate during the day, maybe 1 or 2 squares, and then maybe 1 or 2 glasses of wine here and there. That keeps me sort of satiated and happy. And so I'm able to eat the way that I eat and maintain my diet and maintain my health, and works for me.
Okay, so you mentioned wine more than once.
I did mention wine more than once. That is true.
So wine is calories.
Wine is calories.
How do you figure that in your diet?
Okay, so wine is calories, but also, so some people like to have a dessert at night. Some people like to have a bowl of ice cream or a cookie or 2. I would prefer a glass of wine. So a glass of wine, if you look at it, it's 120 calories.
So it's how big a glass is it?
I mean, well, I have big glasses at home, but during the week, just a 4 or 5 ounce glass of wine.
Okay.
And that is a normal serving size.
Absolutely.
Sometimes, depending on the day, you need 2 of those serving sizes. It's I'm a mom. You have to kick back a little. I'm not advising that that's the best thing to do. I'm just telling you.
Oh,
this
okay.
is what I do to keep myself, happy and sane.
Okay,
Great.
Liz.
Yeah, I mean, it's honest.
That's great. And Liz, what do you do?
So I've also done many diets, just like Tara. I went through my phase when I was doing bodybuilding competitions, so I definitely played around with different types of diets there. Now I think what works for me the best is I also focus on a high protein diet, and that's just because I'm so active in the gym, as is Tara. We need our protein. So we are a little different than the average person, but definitely I focus on protein every meal.
Keeps us fuller longer,
Yes.
too.
So
sure.
Protein keeps you fuller, it feeds your muscles. The muscles are gonna be burning the fat outside of the muscle on your body. So I always focus on protein every meal. I also pair my protein. I try to get my vegetables in with every meal so I can have some fiber. And then I pair it with either a fat or a carb. So for me, for my body type especially, I have more of my fats in the morning, and then I have more of my carbs later in the day. So it's actually the opposite of what a lot of people think is best for them. So me having done my whole nutrition school after my bodybuilding competition days, I understand that carbs are actually a little bit better at night.
So now when you stop bodybuilding, you have to change how you ate?
For sure. So when I was bodybuilding, it's very low fat, which I don't think is good for us. We need fat as a part of our diet. Fat definitely keeps you satisfied. It's what makes all of our hormones, so it's very important for hormonal function. And you also need to eat fat to burn fat, which is another thing. So you can't go on too low of a fat diet.
Okay, and what about carbs then when you were bodybuilding?
Sure, so carbs, I focused on whole food carbohydrate choices. So that I still try to have. So that's mostly, rice, potatoes, other starchier vegetables, fruit. That would be my main source of carbohydrates.
Okay, starchier vegetables besides rice and fruit and
So
potatoes?
it could be potatoes or, beets are a little bit on the starchier side. Fruits have some sugar and starch in them. Bananas are extra starchy, for example. So every vegetable and fruit is a little bit different, but I like to choose more whole grain or just whole food choices as opposed to a piece of bread or a cookie.
Okay, so
Although those things are
Those are
delicious.
great too.
They're so good.
For sure.
now, if you were to go for the whole for the cookie or the bread, any particular choices you make, or
Yes, actually. So I do love Ezekiel bread. So every once in a while I'll have some Ezekiel bread. That is a less processed bread. And then if I want like oatmeal, I'll go for the old-fashioned oats as opposed to quick cooking. So anything that's a little bit less processed is a little bit better for our bodies to metabolize.
and what about taste?
Well, taste. So find what you like, and you can always make things taste a little bit better. Adding a little bit of cinnamon in your oatmeal, for example, makes it taste a little bit better. Putting some almond butter on your Ezekiel bread is delicious too. So you have to find what works for you.
Now, what about caffeine?
I love it.
You love it?
I
Me
love
too.
it. It's a cornerstone of life.
So tell us about how you take your caffeine, coffee, tea.
Any way that I can get it. I take my caffeine in the form of black coffee in the morning. I drink
So there's no
probably-
calories there.
no calories. So lots of black coffee. Probably, I don't know, 2 cups in the morning, and then I like to have like a mid-afternoon cup of coffee. And I do drink diet soda. Try to limit it to 1 to 2 a day, but you know, we're being honest here. So yeah, diet soda. So there's some caffeine in there as well.
Okay, Liz, do you eat any caffeine?
So I was just in Italy about a month ago.
Ooh.
And
Lucky you.
there, espresso any time of the day, and
yeah,
so I kind
so
of
good.
adopt that.
Yeah.
I love coffee as well. I prefer actually espresso or just a coffee with a nice flavor to it. If I'm having my coffee, I do put a little bit of cream in there. Cream is mostly healthy fat. It's very low carb. There is sugar in milk. So if you were drinking a whole glass of milk, cream is actually a little bit of a better choice for you, especially for me where I try to have more healthy fats in the morning. So if I could get a grass-fed, organic half and half, that would be my go-to, speaks to my heart.
Now, how do you find a grass-fed organic half and half?
So actually ShopRite has it. I found it not too long ago and I was very excited because it was a new item at the store.
Now, what about when you go to the supermarket and have all these organic milks? How do you pick one? Because each one tells you on the box why it's the most fantastic organic milk. Is it price? Is there a real difference?
Yes, so cows, they typically give them hormones to help them grow larger, faster. So those hormones are impacting our society, especially the amount of teenagers that are going through puberty at a very young age. So we don't want to pump our bodies with all the same hormones. And so if you have an organic one that they don't have the hormones given to them, it will also say on the container. Grass-fed is different than organic. Grass-fed, they are fed grass as cows are meant to eat, as opposed to corn, which is more of a grain-based diet.
But when they're grass-fed, we don't know if the grass has been treated with pesticides and all.
So if it's organic grass-fed, then it's double the bonus, because then you know that there's not going to be pesticides in the grass, and they're not giving the cows antibiotics also on top of it, which we intake. So that's what's affecting our guts, is a lot of the antibiotics that we're getting from non-organic meats.
Good point. So now you're going to do a little cooking demonstration for us?
Yes, I will.
All right,
Can't
excellent.
wait.
Can't wait to see it.
Hey everyone, welcome to the kitchen. We're gonna get now to the nitty-gritty of what we've been speaking about to incorporate healthy nutrition habits into your daily routine. Today we are gonna make chocolate chip cookie dough protein bites. We are using protein powder, which I have 2 options. One is a vegan protein powder. It's a little bit thicker, more like a flour. This comes from peas and rice. So here we have the whey protein powder, which is a little bit finer, as you can see, the texture-wise. So depending on your diet and what you prefer, you can use either one. Here we have some almond meal or almond flour. Basically all it is ground up raw almonds. So this is a great flour to use as an alternative to regular flour in different recipes. It's packed with protein, healthy fat, and also fiber. There's no sugar that naturally occurs in almonds, so it's very, very low on your carbohydrate count also. We're gonna be using some almond butter. So this is going to help us keep our recipe moist and held together without using anything that has gluten in it. We also have here some mini dark chocolate chips. This is optional, of course, because these 3 ingredients, and I have a little bit of coconut milk just in case we need a little extra liquid, are the base of it. And then you make what you want so you can have freedom to be creative in the kitchen. So we start with our dry ingredients. So in here I have 1 cup of almond flour. So I'm going to go ahead and put that in our food processor. Okay, next we have our protein powders. Today I'm gonna be using our whey protein powder. It's probably more common that you would find this one in some stores. So a lot of people use whey protein, so that's why I put this one in here. All right, so now we're going to give this a little buzz just to incorporate these. All right. Next, we're going to be putting in our wet ingredients. So here we have our almond butter. You want to do about half of a cup of this, which is about 8 ounces. So the fat helps to keep the product held together, so you don't even need to use eggs. So this has no requirement to bake it. And if you happen to have an egg allergy, this is also egg-free. You want to make sure that the consistency is like a cookie dough when you end up combining these. So I have a little bit of coconut milk. You can use any dairy-free milk alternative that you prefer. And you really just need maybe 2 tablespoons to add in so that you make sure that it's not too liquidy, because since you're not baking these, you want to make sure that they can be held together. And here is our coconut milk. Just put a little bit in there and give it a buzz. Okay, so just 4 simple ingredients now have been added in here. Our almond flour, our protein powder, and then our almond butter and coconut milk. So as you can see, it's like a cookie dough texture. So this is the base of our protein bites. I'm going to add in today a couple dark chocolate chips because I like making chocolate chip cookie dough bites, but you can use whatever you prefer. So I put about a 1/4 cup in here, and then I'm just gonna buzz it a little bit to mix it up and then scoop out our finished product. So I'm using a traditional size ice cream scooper, which is going to yield about 12 to 15 grams of protein per protein ball. If you want something smaller, you can always grab a little melon scooper, which is about a tablespoon, which would be approximately more like 6 grams of protein per bite. So you choose which size you want depending on your needs. All right, now time to try. Perfect.
So Tara, what do you think of that demonstration? Something you're going to make at home?
Yeah, I can't wait. They look delicious.
They do look very good.
They look really good.
Yeah.
I can't wait to try.
You think there'll be a lot of calories in those?
I think that they will be a bit calorically dense. Yes, I think that 1 will probably be good, depending on how big. But I think Liz mentioned that they were around 250 calories for a bigger one. So I think 1 is a pretty good snack, maybe perhaps with some afternoon coffee.
So you'd have to be a teenager to have more than one of those.
Well, I don't know about that, but.
All righty. Liz, so tell us about your diet more, how you would incorporate these into a diet, or would you incorporate them? What would you do?
Sure, absolutely. So they are mostly protein and fat. If you had made a bigger ball, each ball would be about 12 grams of protein, 16 grams of fat. The carbohydrate count is very low with only about 3 grams of net carbs after the fiber. So for me, as I had mentioned, I eat more protein and fat in the beginning of the day. That's the time of the day when you are the most insulin resistant. As the day goes on, you become more insulin sensitive, so that's when I would intake more protein and carbs. So this would be something that I would have mid-morning with a cup of coffee, and it's a little sweet, so it hits the sweet craving you might have without all of the added sugar.
Now they talk about paleo diets and intermittent eating diets and Mediterranean diets. What do they mean by all those?
Well, I think in respect to that, so those are a good paleo-friendly snack. They are low carb. They are good for anyone that has diabetes. What else? Keto, which is huge right now. People are doing. There's a number of different diets that I think that would be good for.
For sure. So as it is whole food mostly, besides the protein powder, that's where it can fit into the paleo. So paleo, they don't have dairy, so they would use maybe more of a pea protein for that. And then the keto, everyone's on the ketogenic diet. If you've watched the Jersey Shore, as we're from New Jersey, they have the Keto Guido on there as one of the actors, and he does the ketogenic diet to help him lose weight. So ketogenic is all about high fat, moderate protein, low carb.
Now, can you do a partial keto diet, say eat a keto diet for 8 hours a day and then switch it out?
Well, that's kind of what I do, so sure. I do more ketogenic in the beginning of the day, protein and fat, and then I would do more of like a Mediterranean, lower fat, moderate carb in the afternoon, evening.
Now, they talk about if you do that in the evening, that you hang on to those calories overnight.
Well, it depends on how close you would eat your last meal to bedtime. So you don't want to eat a whole bunch of cookies and go right to sleep because you will hang on to those calories. But if you had a nice complex carbohydrate with your dinner and then you were to wait about 2 hours and then go to sleep, it would be fine.
So Tara, do you eat a bedtime snack or you finish at dinner? Or what do you do?
I don't eat after 8 o'clock.
Ah, okay. So you're fasting from 8 to 8 or 8 to 12? Or?
8 to 12 typically. But in the morning I just have black coffee and water. And
now, I wonder if everybody can do that kind of diet or only certain people can.
I think I honestly I wouldn't recommend it necessarily to anyone that has any type of propensity to get hungry and then really overeat. I think, again, it comes down to what's going to work for you, and it's a lot of experimenting. It's a lot of kind of playing around and learning, what do I like, what do I not like, what can, what is sustainable for me. So it's different for everybody.
Agreed. So intermittent fasting, they typically take that whole window when they don't eat, but in the window that you do eat, you want to try to eat
Absolutely.
Still healthier foods. But intermittent fasting is great for someone that is active and they just want to help keep their body fat low. Someone that's under tons of stress, maybe they have hormonal problems. They would probably not want to do intermittent fasting because they can't control their hunger cravings. They're just too hungry. They will still keep eating.
Yeah,
Well,
I think at the end of the day, what it comes down to really is, again, going back to what works for each individual. And there's a number of different diets that, we can choose from, but it has to work for you.
Well, I think that's a really good point. You have to sort of pick a diet that works for you, and you have to sort of plan what you eat. It shouldn't be a random process. And I thank you all for joining us. I thank Liz for joining us again, and I thank Tara for joining us again.
Happy to be
And
here.
we're going to have another exercise demonstration, now that you've eaten all this good food, how you can build up your strength, your muscles, your energy. We'll be right back with Liz and Tara showing us how to get stronger quicker.
Only 10% of us get enough daily exercise.
And that number is dropping.
Nearly 30% of us are overweight or obese.
We spend 6 hours a day in front of a screen. As a result, we now have a shorter life expectancy than our parents.
But give us the right start in sports, and we'll never stop.
Learn how at active4life.ca.
Welcome back, everyone. Now we're going to put that protein to use, and we're going to do a couple exercises. So thanks, Tara, for staying with me.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, we are going to start with some push-ups.
All right.
So many people do push-ups incorrectly, where they're not using their core and they're not using their chest. They overuse the shoulders and their butts in the air. So we're gonna make sure we're doing a correct push-up.
A lot of pressure.
Yeah, you got it. This is a great exercise. You can do at home. It requires no equipment, just your body. So we're gonna start on the knees to make sure that we're doing it correctly, and then we'll progress up to the feet. So if you're on your knees, you want to come forward. Very important that your body is in a straight line and that your butt's not in the air. Your arms are a little wider than shoulder width apart. Then you're going to bend at the elbows and come up. So if your butt was in the air and you were overusing your shoulders, this would happen. You would bend this too much. So we're doing a correct push-up. Awesome. So now we're going to progress up to the feet. So come onto your toes. Harder on the core if your toes are together, easier if your toes apart. And then you want to go ahead again, bend until you're about 90 degrees with that elbow, pushing through the chest and the core. To make it really hard, one leg up in the air.
Get out of here.
Just for some fun. That was great. All right. So now we're going to do a step up. So step ups you can also do at home. They require no equipment, just maybe a simple chair. So here, many people use their knees too much when they're walking up and down the stairs, when they have to sit into a chair and get out. So we're going to do a proper step up. Proper step up, foot is up. You're pushing through the heel forward to activate your glute without putting pressure on the knee. So it's just a quick step up, pushing through the heel. So give it a try.
Yeah.
Awesome. So as you can see on Tara, she's using her glute, pushing through her heel forward. Practice some of these when you can, and you'll have stronger glutes to have less pressure on the knee. So thanks, Tara, for demonstrating.
Thank you for having me.
I hope that you all can take these exercises to try them at home sometime.
We've had a great show today. We have discussed different diets. We've learned how to stretch, discussed how to get stronger, and finally, we have learned how to make a recipe that is good energy for you, good protein, without a lot of excess calories. We want you to join us again on the Dr. Carniol Show, and thank you for joining us today.